of the Chatham Finance Committee. Pursuant to Governor Baker's July 16, 2022 signing of an act relative to extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency, including the extension of his March 12 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, and this meeting of the Chatham Finance Committee is being conducted in person and via remote participation. Every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings as provided for in the order. A reminder that persons who would like to listen to this meeting while in progress may do so by calling the phone number 508-945-4410. Conference ID is 370-403-592 #, 508-945-4410, code 370-403-592, hashtag, or one may join the meeting online via Microsoft Teams through the link in the posted agenda. Despite our best efforts, we may not be able to provide for real-time access, and we will post a record of this meeting on the town's website as soon as possible. In accordance with town policy, the public can speak to any issue on the agenda during the meeting when recognized by me, the chair. So, we are going to have our call to order, and then we are going to follow up with continued work in advance of the warrant, voting on a variety of articles, budgetary and otherwise, that have been presented to the committee previously. So we're not going to spend a lot of time reviewing the articles themselves, the numbers specifically per se, having had the opportunity to do that. But we will begin taking votes to register for the warrant. So, roll call. Norma Avalar is not present. Tommy Doan?
Here.
Thank you, Tommy. Barb Madison is not present. John Papalardo is not. Joanne Sprague? Here. Andy Young? Here. Kristen Andres?
Here.
Tracy Shields?
Present.
And the chair is here. Thank you, guys. We have a quorum, so let's get cracking. We are going to start with votes on the FY24 community preservation articles, which, if I'm not mistaken, were presented to the committee last week during my absence. Let's just get to it. Affordable Housing Trust Fund, there's an allocation for $1 million. Do we have a motion to move that?
I move we approve the Affordable Housing Trust Fund appropriation of $1 million,
Thank you,
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Joanne. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Tracy. Any discussions, questions for Alex or otherwise? Okay. Tommy Doan?
Yes.
Joanne?
Yes.
Andy? Yes. Kristen?
Aye.
Tracy?
Yes.
The chair votes yes. The next is a $284,240 allocation for the restoration of the Marconi Towers over in Chatham-port. Recommended 9-0 by the CPA, 4-0 by the Select Board. Is there a motion to support?
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions, comments? All right, Tommy Doan?
Aye.
Joanne?
Yes.
Andy?
Aye.
Kristen?
Yes.
Tracy?
Yes.
And the chair, 6-0 for that, so 6-0, 6-0. South Chatham Library, $79,000 allocation, again, it's supported unanimously by the CPA committee and by the select board. Is there a motion to support?
So moved.
Yes.
And a second?
Second.
I think Tommy was in there with a second.
Aye.
All right, Tommy, in favor?
Yes.
Joanne?
Yes.
Andy?
Yes.
Kristen?
Yes.
Tracy?
Yes.
And the chair's in favor, 6-0. Cemetery headstone restoration, $35,000, $35,725 in fact. Again, unanimously supported by the CPA board and by the select board. Is there a motion to propose?
So moved.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Thank you. Comments, questions? Tommy?
Yes.
Joanne?
Yes.
Andy?
Yes.
Kristen?
Yes.
Tracy?
Yes.
The chair votes in support. 6-0. This is what it looks like to cruise. So, Railroad Museum, there's a proposed allocation of $34,650. Again, unanimously supported by the CPA board and the select board. Is there a motion to support?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Tommy, thank you. Tommy, in support?
Yes.
Joanne?
Yes.
Andy?
Yes.
Kristen?
Yes.
Tracy?
Yes.
The chair supports. Thank you. Coast Guard Boathouse restoration, $350,000. An 801 recommendation from the CPA Board, fully supported in a vote of 4-0 by the Select Board. This, of course, is going to be the prospective future home of the Upweller at 90 Bridge Street. And pending tourist attraction. Is there a motion to support?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Tommy?
Yes.
Joanne?
Yes.
Andy?
Yes.
Kristen?
Yes.
Tracy?
Yes.
And the chair supports. 6-0. Marconi Archive Project, $142,715, unanimously supported by the CPA Board and the Select Board. Is there a motion to support?
So moved.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Thank you, Tommy.
Yes.
Joanne?
Yes.
Andy?
Yes.
Kristen?
Yes.
Tracy?
Yes.
The chair is supportive. Salt marsh restoration. Alex, just for the record, that's over by Jackknife Cove?
This is for all the salt marshes, so it wouldn't just be at that one area, but it's, the Jackknife Beach is a separate area, that's the
Right, that's
Jackknife Beach.
further down the
Churchill is
list, yep.
at the bottom. But this is to study all the different salt marshes, and it's how the best the town can proceed to preserve and encourage salt marsh restoration to mitigate coastal flood.
Yep, okay, good. So $120,000 allocated to salt marsh study for buffering and protection, unanimously supported by the CPA Board and a 4-0 vote at the Select Board. Is there a motion to support?
Move it.
So moved.
Thank you,
No,
Tommy. Tommy, support?
Yes.
Joanne?
Yes.
Andy?
Yes.
Kristen?
Yes.
Tracy?
Yes.
And the chair supports, 6-0. Trail Guide, $35,000. One abstention at the CPA Board and a 4-0 vote at the Select Board. Is there a motion to support? Tracy?
Yes.
Tommy, was that a second?
Second.
All right, thank you. Any questions, comments? Tommy?
Yes.
Joanne?
Yes.
Andy? Yes. Kristen?
Yes.
Tracy?
Yes.
Chair supports, 6-0. Again, bikeways, this is the bike path down, George Ryder Road?
This would be going from George Ryder Road onto Route 28 Main Street. So this is to improve the safety aspects of that extension. And this is matching grant funds. So 88 funds of matching grant for the total amount.
And that would ultimately tie into the rail trail that's just beyond the purview of this building here.
Yes.
All right, that's an $88,000 supported recommendation, 8-1 at the CPA Board, 4-0 at the Select Board. Is there a motion to support?
Support.
Thank you, Tommy. A second?
Second.
All right, in favor, Tommy?
Yes.
Joanne?
Yes.
Andy?
Yes.
Kristen?
Yes.
Tracy?
Yes.
And the chair supports, 6-0. Pickleball courts, makes the heart beat fondly. $300,000 for pickleball. Fully supported by the CPA Board, fully supported in a 4-0 vote at the Select Board. Is there a motion to support the development of further pickleball courts for the town of Chatham?
So moved.
Second.
All right, thank you. Any comments, questions? Kristen, please.
I just wanted to reiterate my concerns about this application. Despite my many friends who play pickleball, and I'm sure we're supportive of this application. We have, these 3 designated areas for our CPA money, our tax dollars, historic, open space, and housing. And when it comes to recreation, that's sort of discretionary spending. And I think, while I know the CPC reacts to the applications that are put before them, I'm concerned about the prioritization of how we spend this discretionary money. And I think when we're looking at $300,000, I think that's quite a bit of money for kind of a small portion of our, or for a small recreational aspect for the community. And I think there are other priorities such as water access points and a whole multitude of projects that may have longer and greater public benefit than the pickleball courts. I just think the cost of it is exorbitant. Thanks.
Perfect, thank you. Any other comments, questions, observations? Okay, motion to support?
You have that, I think, Joanne, oh, sorry. Yeah, it's, sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Andy, do you have a question?
No.
Okay, is there a motion to support?
So moved.
A second? Tracy has a second. Tommy doing in favor?
No.
Joanne?
Yes.
Andy?
No.
Kristen?
No.
Tracy?
Yes.
And the chair says no. So that is 2-4. Okay, Jackknife Cove Beach Restoration, $185,000, unanimous recommendation from the CPA Board and from a 4-0 vote, from the Select Board. It's gotten pretty degraded down there. We've been talking about this fix for 2 to 3 years now. Alex, is there anything specific you'd like to kind of reinforce with respect to this project?
I think that this is the last project for Jackknife Beach. They did the study on the best way to address the access points and, protect the shoreline as well. So this would be making those improvements.
Okay, is there a motion to support?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay,
Second.
comments, questions? Tommy doing support?
Yes.
Joanne?
Yes.
Andy?
Yes.
Kristen?
Yes.
Tracy?
Yes.
Chair supports, 6-0. $15,000 routine allocation for the administrative component of the CPA, CPC committee, or CPA committee technically, I suppose. 9-0 at the CPA board, 4-0 at the select board. Is there a motion to support?
Move it.
Second?
Second.
Somebody? Anybody? Tommy Doan, support?
Yes.
Joanne?
Yes.
Andy?
Yes.
Kristen?
Yes.
Tracy?
Yes.
Chair supports, 6-0. And $15,000 allocated to the open space reserve. Not seeing a vote for either the recommendation from the CPC board or the select board. Alex, you have your hand up.
Yes, Mr. Chair, this is part of the statutory requirement by the statute that says that 10% must be either appropriated or reserved for open space, housing, and historic purposes. So this, because we're using only $155,000 for open space, we need to reserve the $15,000. So basically, it's supporting the statutory article of the $170,000 for each of those 3 allocations.
Okay, so the actual allocation to open space plus this $15,000 heading to reserve will allow us to meet the state mandated 10% reserve
Question.
allocation to each bucket. Andy, please.
We also have an article in here that does the allocation of 170 for each of the 3 purposes.
Right, that's the one that you need to vote on, not so much this reserve. I was just showing the total amount of being expended this year and/or reserved. And because we're using the reserves for the, we're actually appropriating enough for affordable housing and for historic,
Yeah.
we didn't need to show that on here. So it's $170,000 for each of the 10%, for a total of $510,000 is listed in the article.
Well, we have an article, it's not in this summary list.
Yeah, so why don't we punch this to the actual article
Yeah.
and
Okay.
It doesn't have,
look after it in that instance?
doesn't have an article number either.
Okay. So that was number 3. Alex, votes on 2024 departmental budgets, if you could please guide us through that.
Okay, yes, as you know, you've heard, in February, the departments came before you with their departmental budgets, and the select board has just forwarded on, yesterday, the operating budget to the finance committee to look at. But what we'd like to do is, and what we usually do, I don't know if you want to go through each of the divisions or just the departments, as in general government, public safety, or do you want to vote on, say, police, fire,
No, let's just do by the divisions, do the latter.
by the divisions?
So public safety, natural resources,
Okay.
community development, general government, et cetera.
Okay. So the general government budget is being presented at $3,099,469. And basically, the general government covers the administration, finance, departments. So everything from the town manager, the select board, the finance department, town clerk, elections, and some of the smaller budgets. And I'm happy to answer any questions you might have on general government.
Andy, please.
Alex, would you repeat that number?
Again, this might differ from the amount that's in the online budget book because we have to update it. And I have not had the time to go through and refine all of that, as was communicated to the select board the other night. So let me just pull up my,
Well, the budget book has 3,096,655.
hold on just a minute, please. See if I have that here. Too many papers.
Take your time.
All right. Yeah, but again, because we're refining things and going through the online budget book, and I have to save that in order to update it, unfortunately. I have not had the time to do that.
So the working number is notwithstanding a discrepancy, Andy, you're picking up on the online budget book figure?
I'm looking at the online budget book,
Right.
and then I heard the number that Alex talked about.
I just want to check to make sure that I'm correct. I'm going to pull up what was communicated to the select board and what they voted on. And of course, we've had, a couple people come in afterwards saying, well, what about this? So,
Where I was going generally is in terms of the operating budget.
right,
We had a total number that we started with, and now we have a total number of 37,791,000, blah, blah, blah. Has that changed? And which way?
Right.
all right, hold on. Silence. All right, budget transmittal. Okay. Yep, $3,099,469, and that has changed slightly. We had health insurance, the rates were set with a 4% increase versus an 8% projection as originally
forecast.
presented. We've built in higher than 4% to cover the additional employees that are being proposed for FY 2023 and have been recommended by the Select Board. Further to that, additional staffing request, the health and housing inspector, again, related to the short-term rentals, that was added for $63,310. And we reduced the amount for the chamber by $5,000 based on some of the comments that the Finance Committee made.
Okay. Satisfactory, Andy? So yes, the number has changed.
Yeah, a little.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair?
I just want to make sure Andy's,
No,
Oh, I'm sorry.
okay, good. Joanne, please. Thank you, Alex.
Alex, on the reduction for the Chamber of Commerce, what we were talking about was not approving the 10,000, but apparently the selectmen have made a compromise and approved 5,000 instead of 10,000, so there is a $5,000 increase
That's
in the
correct.
budget for the Chamber of Commerce,
Correct.
okay?
Okay.
That's something different for
Yes.
us, Mr. Chair.
Yep. But they heard us, but not all the way. So, all right, so Alex, the number I have is 3099460, is that right?
That's correct, and that includes, $3,099,469.
69, I'm sorry.
And that's an 8.87% increase to FY 2023.
Okay, so I will take a motion to support the general government proposed operating budget of $3,099,469.
So moved?
A second?
I second.
Thank you, Tracy. Tommy?
Yes.
And Joanne, please.
Yes.
Andy?
yes.
Kristen?
Yes.
Tracy?
Yes.
The chair supports.
Mr. Chair, before we go any
Joanne,
further,
please,
Alex, are any of these changes, almost everything you let us know if this makes a as changing what we surmise the tax rate will be. Does this change it in any way?
No, it is still true that based on the operating budget, without any of the standalone articles that might be funded through the tax rate, we are projecting the tax levy to be the same in FY 2024 as it is in FY 2023, pending the valuation of the town. So if the values remain the same, the operating budget, the way it's presented, again, notwithstanding any separate articles that might be funded through the tax levy, other than the childcare voucher program and the pre-K program, which we have programmed into that tax rate, the levy should stay the same.
I noticed, thank you, and I noticed through the separate articles, you have been recognizing that question for us and letting us know what comes from free cash, what comes from the tax rate, and whether it changes or not. Thank you.
Okay, so I think we had a motion, and now we know we worked through general government, so that was adopted 6-0. So Alex, now what's next, please?
Next would be public safety, and just bear with me a second here. So public safety is presented at $7,894,887.
All right, questions, or actually, I'm sorry, a motion to support the $7,894,887 public safety budget?
So moved.
Second?
Second?
Thank you. Questions for Alex, comments?
Of course, that's, again, slightly above what's shown in the budget book. Is that, again, health insurance, or?
No, health insurance is in a separate budget, so
Okay,
I'd have to
gotcha.
go through, I think there was a question by one of the departments in public safety, so working through that. Just so you would know that we would not be increasing these numbers by any amount, they would be decreasing as I work through to make sure that everything is recorded correctly in the online budget book.
Okay, so in other words, what you're telling us today is not going to go up,
Correct,
but the budget book still has to be corrected.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, there's minor, we've had some personnel changes, we've
Yep.
hired some people, so I've got to go through all that.
I got you. Okay.
Yeah, and I think in each instance, what we're voting on now, what the select boards voted on either last night or recently, are the numbers that are getting locked in for the warrant. So I think there's a timing difference, as Alex, has suggested with respect to the online budget book. So,
Sure, although if there's a significant difference, I would expect to talk about it.
yeah, agreed. I would agree. Okay, public safety budget, Tommy, doing in favor?
Yes.
Joanne?
Yes.
Andy?
Yes,
Kristen?
Yes.
Tracy?
Yes.
And the chair supports 6-0.
Okay. Okay, for community development is being presented at $1,037,903, and that is a 6.55% increase over FY 2023.
Okay, a motion to support the community development budget of $1,037,903.
So moved.
Thank you, Andy. That was a second, I think. Was that a second, Andy?
it's either a first or a second.
I think Tommy beat you.
It's not material to me.
All right. It is for the record. All right. Questions or comments? Tommy, doing support?
Yes.
Joanne?
Yes.
Andy?
Yes,
Kristen?
Yes.
Tracy?
Yes.
Chair supports 6-0. Alex?
Okay, and natural resources is being presented at $2,182,539, an 8.03% increase over FY 2023. And this is where the one position was added back into this department for the health and housing inspector.
move it.
Second?
Thank you. Questions, comments? Tommy, support?
Yes.
Joanne?
Yes.
Andy?
Yep,
Kristen?
Yes.
Tracy?
Yes.
Chair supports 6-0. Alex, back to you.
All right, Public Works and Facilities is being presented at $6,991,911, a 14.33% increase. And I think as we had explained when the department was before you in January, there's additional staffing for both a gate attendant at the transfer station as well as administrative support in the DPW and some of the contractual obligations of the town for the contracts, electricity, fuel, et cetera.
Well, can you just give me a read back, please? 6 million, what was it?
991,911.
991, 911. Okay. Motion to support?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. Andy, question?
Yep. There is a material difference between that and what the budget book has.
Yes, and that is due to recreation being included in the amount of the figure in the budget book and not in this amount because we have to move that out with the realignment last year of the recreation under community services. And you'll see a difference under community services as well.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any further questions? If not, we have a motion to support the Public Works budget at $6,991,911. Tommy?
Yes.
Joanne?
Yes.
Andy?
Yep.
Kristen?
Yes.
Tracy?
Yes.
Chair supports 6-0. Alex?
Okay. So now we're on to Community and Social Services Department, which is being presented at $2,677,325. And that is a combination of what I just mentioned, the Parks and Rec Department, as well as what was formerly known as Community Services or Human Services, Council on Aging, Veteran Services, et cetera. And this will have also a material difference between this and the amount in the budget book of the 1.5 million.
Okay, motion to support the newly christened Community Services,
Wait.
Community Social Services
Question.
budget.
Move it.
Question, please.
Hold on, Tommy, let's get a second, and then we'll open it up for questions.
Second.
Second, thank you. Tommy, question?
What is the percent of the increase?
I'm showing an increase of 7.83% over FY 2023, and this budget also includes the licensed social worker positions for both for youth and for adults. Two
Thank you.
positions.
Okay, further questions for Alex? Andy, please?
So if I took the community services budget book number of $1,550,000 and the, what was it, the public works budget
Yes,
at
6.9.
8.071, somehow they're close,
Let's see.
because that should eliminate the difference with the changeover in rec.
It should to some extent, but however, because previously in the community services, we had the Council on Aging, we had Veteran Services, but the main one is would be Lighthouse Beach as well as beach recreation and beaches. Those two divisions within the Department of Public Works should make the difference.
I'm glad you can reconcile them.
Yeah, I went through this because, again, with the first year, when the system brought over last year's numbers, it just put them into that department rather than segregating them out. I can do it on a spreadsheet, easily move them from one to the other, but not in the, I'd have to go to ClearGov and ask them to manipulate that for me.
Thank you.
Okay, further questions regarding Community Social Services budget? If not, we'll take a vote to support the $2,677,325 spend. Tommy?
Yes.
Joanne?
Yes.
Andy?
Yes?
Kristen?
Yes.
Tracy?
Yes.
Chair supports 6-0.
Okay. All right, the next one is employee benefits. And when this was first presented, we were showing 8% increase due to health insurance. We've reduced it now, so it's just a 3.8% increase over FY 2023 and is presented at $5,809,098.
Okay, do we have a motion to support the employee benefits figure?
So moved.
Thank you, Joanne. Second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Questions for Alex, please?
No,
If not, we'll take a motion to support the $5,809,000, 698?
098.
098, sorry.
5809,
Sloppy handwriting. 098 spending
Miss-
for employee benefits.
Mr. Chair, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I have to, just want to say one more time, anytime we look at the employee benefits amount, and we talk about the unfunded liability. I just think we need to remind ourselves that every time we increase our number of employees in town, those are possible, presuming they stay with the town, additions to our unfunded liabilities. So it's not an unimportant, in my estimation, it's a very important line item to remember.
Can't disagree with that. Okay, further questions for the employee benefits figure? If not, we'll take a vote to support. Tommy?
Yes.
Joanne?
Yes,
Andy?
Yes.
Kristen?
Yes.
Tracy?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. 6-0, Alex, next.
Next are insurances and the Finance Committee's reserve fund. And that is being presented at $950,228. A whopping, this is a large increase of 22.08% over FY 2023. And that is largely due to the increased cost for property insurance.
I will point out that the Finance Committee Reserve Fund has been held at 0.
Yes.
Just for the record. Okay, is there a motion to adopt the Insurance and Finance Committee Reserve Fund line item?
Move it.
So moved.
All right, thank you. $950,228. Support, Tom?
Yes.
Joanne?
yes,
Andy?
Yes.
Kristen?
Yes.
Tracy?
Yes.
I'm tempted to vote against it, but I won't. 6-0.
And finally, the last department would be our debt service. And debt service for FY 2024 is $7,148,305, a 6.43% increase, and that's based on the debt that's already been bonded, with I believe, $150,000 for short-term interest to cover any new debt issuances or short-term borrowing that might be needed next year.
Okay, is there a motion to support?
I move to support.
Thank you,
Yes.
Tracy. Second? Tommy had that one. Questions for Alex on the $7,148,305 debt service line item? There being none, I have one.
Yes.
Do we have any short-term debt that you're anticipating bonding anytime in the next 12 months?
We have a short-term.
Or authorizations, I
Yeah.
guess I should say.
We have a short-term authorization out there right now, which will come due, probably in June. So we're looking whether we should roll that over or permanently finance that. That's something I'll be studying in the next few months in advance of the end of the fiscal year. We did issue some new debt through the Clean Water Trust during FY 2023, which the debt service is hitting. So just to note here that our long-term interest is going down by 7.45% over FY 2023, and that part of that was due to the refunding that we did last year as well. But the principal is up to $5,533,000.
Okay, that's helpful, thank you. In an era of seemingly further increasing interest rates.
Yeah, and that's why we probably won't be refunding anytime soon. I think the next opportunity for refunding our existing debt is probably FY 2026. So hopefully by that time, interest rates might have come down and we can refund those loans from 2016.
Okay, that's helpful, thank you. Further questions, if any?
Joanne,
please.
Just another remark, Mr. Chairman. Residing in this amount and in this fund are the important funds we spend for water purity, sewer, and all the capital assets that we enjoy in Chatham.
Partially correct. Water debt is funded separately through the water department, so the water debt is listed separately. But this
That's right.
This
Yeah.
does have the wastewater debt as well as all the debt for infrastructure, buildings, et cetera.
Absolutely right. I forgot that. Thank you.
And for those on the edge of their seat, we're going to be getting to the water department before long.
Okay.
All right, so vote to support the debt service figure, $7,148,305. Tommy?
Yes.
Joanne?
Yes.
Andy? Kristen?
Yes.
Tracy?
Yes.
Chair says yes. 6-0 for the budget. Nice work, Alex.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Is that an official, would you like to take the official vote on the
To
total
the entire
budget?
cap, yep, sure. So would you present us with that aggregated figure so I don't have to do the math?
Okay, so as you know, the select board just transmitted the operating budget to the finance committee. But if you're ready to take the vote on that, the total amount would be $37,791,665, which is a 7.63% increase to FY 2023.
All right, is there a motion to support the previously referenced number 37,791,665 as the aggregated figure for the town's FY '24 proposed operating budget?
So moved.
Okay, we've got a couple of those. I'll convert one of those to a second. Questions or comments? Andy, please.
I'm just not very fast today.
Mike?
Yeah, thanks. Does the 37,791, I presume that is excluding the education?
That's correct.
Okay, all right, and so if we add that to it, that's expected to be somewhere around 10 million?
Right now, it's proposed at $10,034,767. We're waiting to get the final numbers in from the school committee, who will vote on March 9th, at least the Monomoy Regional School District will. Monomoy went up by about Monomoy went down by about $6,000, and the tech assessment went up a little bit from when it was first presented.
All right, thank you.
And we're hoping, just for context, we're looking to see if we can get the schools in next Tuesday to have a chat with us. So more to come on that. It's a $38 million. It's a big number. It's a big number before schools, before capital, before standalone warrant articles. I think as I wrote in remarks that ultimately I never delivered, which Joanne was kind enough to assume in my stead, but the preliminary report out to the select board. It's a big number. There's a lot of externalities associated with the cost drivers here, but there's also 8.5 potential new employees. But I think, as I wrote in my remarks, I think that Jill and Alex and their collective staff team, department heads, have a lot of credibility with this committee. And they work hard and they work diligently, and I don't think by any means are profligate with the proposed budgets. So big numbers, but I guess something increasingly we have to get used to. So did we take the vote? I forget.
We didn't.
Okay, Tommy, support?
Yes.
Chemo brain. Joanne?
Yes.
Andy?
Yes,
Kristen?
Yes.
Tracy?
Yes.
Chair votes yes.
Thank you.
All right, Alex, clean sweep.
Okay.
So on to item number 5, votes on town meeting articles, including but not limited to fixed salaries of elected officials.
Yes, thank you. Actually, you just approved the funding for the fixed salaries of the elected officials because this article just sets the amount. It doesn't appropriate any funds.
Yep.
And there's no change to FY 2023 for the amounts. It's for the moderator and the select board.
All right, Wood Waste Reclamation Facility Enterprise Fund, rolls right off the tongue.
Yes, this is the one enterprise fund that the town has, and this is really it's a financial assurance that when the wood waste reclamation facility, AKA the stump dump, reverts back to the town, it will be environmentally safe for the town to take it over. And it's a $25,000 appropriation annually, and usually the funds that we expend from this are for the testing, and we receive the lease payments from the lessee, which offset those expenses.
Okay, motion to support the $25,000 allocation for the Wood Waste Reclamation Facility Enterprise Fund.
So moved.
Second. Thank you. Questions? Alex, did I read or hear or observe in a selectmen's meeting that there's consideration being given to extending the term of this lease?
I think there might be. I haven't seen anything formally yet, so if we were to extend it, we would have to again, negotiate the terms, and we would let the Finance Committee know of any extension if you'd like.
Okay, that's helpful, thank you. Further questions? If not, a vote to support the $25,000 allocation. Tommy?
Yes.
Joanne?
Yes.
Andy?
Aye.
Kristen?
Yes.
Tracy?
Yes.
Chair says yes, 6-0. Alex is kind of running the table here today. OPEB?
OPEB, everyone's favorite OPEB acronym, the other post-employment benefits, also known as health insurance, not retirement insurance, trust fund allocation. And this is an annual appropriation which comes from overlay surplus, which is released by the Board of Assessors. And we are recommending, again, $150,000 come from the overlay surplus to go into the OPEB trust fund. The balance in the trust fund right now is over $3 million, and our liability is over $17 million. However, with, I'm just looking for my notes here, with the reallocation of the land bank surcharge, so half of the land bank surcharge, we've raised, the commitment is $571,000 for FY 2023. We hope to be able to fund this, the OPEB trustees, within 15 years. So that is the goal. We'll see what happens because our investments haven't been doing as well as they were a few years ago.
It's a long race.
Yes,
It's a
it
long
is.
race. All right, so that,
Mr. Chair,
yes, Joanne.
a question to Alex, please. Alex, how is the school department handling their OPEB debt? Have they set up a fund similar to ours?
They do have an OPEB liability trust fund, and it's, obviously both towns fund a portion of that through the annual school assessment every year. I think they're funding it at 1% of their operating budget. I can't remember off the top of my head. That might be a question for them next, when they come to
Okay.
before you.
Thank you.
My recollection is it's pretty thinly capitalized.
Say that again?
My recollection is it's fairly thinly capitalized.
Okay.
They do have a trust fund, as Alex mentions, but their funding levels are pretty minimal.
Okay.
But we, on the other hand, are looking to throw another $150,000 at the challenge. Is there a motion to support that?
So moved.
Thank you. A
Yes.
second. Thank you, Andy. Tommy, support?
Yes.
Joanne?
Yes.
Andy?
Yes.
Kristen?
Yes.
Tracy?
Yes.
Chair says yes. All right, 6-0. Getting a little monotonous. Alex, dredging article, please.
Thank you. Yes, the dredging article is really an annual appropriation. We've seen this for the past number of years. We do include $100,000 in the capital budget article. However, the request is always for $400,000 from the department to meet the dredging needs of the town. For this reason, we do segregate out $300,000 because our capital plan wants items that might have a useful life of 5 years or longer for which we can issue debt. Dredging, as we all know, can last 5 years. It could last 5 days. So that's why we segregated it out. And the funding source for the dredging article is free cash.
Okay, I think it's been a while since we've seen it last for 5 years, but that's nice to be optimistic. Is there a motion to support a $300,000 allocation to dredging?
Move it.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. Any further questions or comments? Andy, please.
Including this appropriation, Alex, what would be the total available for dredging?
Well, we would have $400,000 moving forward, and I think we have a healthy balance in the account right now, but you never know when the county dredge isn't going to be here. I know we spent quite a bit of money a couple of years ago, so I think we have over $1 million right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I think as the taxpayers should think about this, this is one of the wild cards that we wrote about last year, and I think perhaps the year before, much like PFAS, which, within a year became a $20 million solution that had not been anticipated, and dredging is, I think we all know down, especially on the south side across Stage Harbor, is going to continue to be a challenge for us, and probably over time an expensive one.
Mr. Chair,
Oh, Joanne, please.
after you.
No, after you.
It just occurred to me how this might look today to somebody who's just tuned into the Finance Committee and seeing us go through all these articles so quickly. Just want to remind our viewing audience that for the last 2 or 3 months, we've been working on this and going over each one of these separately and arguing and discussing them. So this is just a wrap-up of our work of a couple of months.
That's very well said. This really is the voting culmination of work that began 2.5, 3 months ago. So thank you for pointing that out, Joanne. I think that's an important thing to note. Okay, so a motion to support dredging? I think we had that, Andy? Okay. Any further comments, questions? $300,000 to support the dredging article? If not, support. Tommy?
Well, I don't want to argue, but I want to vote yes.
Joanne?
Yes.
Andy?
Yes.
Kristen?
Yes.
Tracy?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Thank you, Tommy. Child care voucher program, Alex.
Yes, thank you. The child care voucher program is, again, another annual article that you've seen over the past few years. Again, is being requested at $100,000, and this goes to support child care for needy families, and it's for people who live, work, or have children in the school system. And again, it's a voucher program paid directly to the providers, not to the families.
Okay, a motion to support the child care voucher program for $100,000.
So moved.
So
Second.
moved.
Thank you. Questions, comments? I think this is something that I think the Finance Committee 3 or 4 years ago started making observations around what I think we referred to at the time as the quiet parts of town. And I think this is one of those programs that we had encouraged the growth in and of. And I'm delighted to see it at $100,000. It's an important program, and as we think about retaining families and potentially even drawing families to our community, it can make a difference. Further comments or questions? Tracy, please.
I just wanted to also echo that I know many individuals in town that benefit from this program, and that it is really well received and utilized.
Thank you. Further comments, questions? If not, support.
Question.
Tommy?
I have a question.
Yes, sir, I'm sorry.
Are we fully using this fund every year?
Yes. Yeah, this fund is routinely drawn down every single year.
Thank you.
Okay, further comments or questions? Tommy, support?
Yes.
Joanne?
Yes.
Andy?
Yes.
Kristen?
Yes.
Tracy?
Yes.
Chair supports enthusiastically. 6-0, Alex. Florence Selden Preschool Family Support Program, not dissimilar.
Yes. This is the Florence Selden Preschool Family Support Program that was begun in this fiscal year, 2023. And this is for 3- and 4-year-olds to attend pre-kindergarten programs. So preschool, the payments are a maximum of $10,000 per school year for each enrolled 4-year-old child, and maximum of $5,000 per school year for each 3-year-old child. And again, what this is looking for $180,000, which would replenish the amount up to the amount of the $425 that was appropriated for FY 2023. Again, being the first year of the program, we didn't know how many families would be applying for this and how many children it would cover, so we're just asking to replenish it up to the $425,000. And again, with this program, payments are made directly to the schools, not to the families.
And obviously named in honor of our dear colleague, Florence, who cared so much for this community and did so much for this community. Okay, a motion to support $180,000 fund.
Mr. Chair.
Let me get a motion in a second, then we'll ask.
Okay.
So, a motion to support $180,000, please, for the Florence Selden Family Support Program.
So
So moved.
Thank you. Tommy, I'll give you the second. Comments or questions? Joanne?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I love this program, too, and in all honor to Florence Selden. And along the way, I think we discussed having some sort of tracking through the years of how our school population relates, an increase in the elementary school population does relate to the numbers of scholarships we've given out for this program.
Yes, yeah, that was discussed at your meeting, and whether or not it is a feeder for the Chatham Elementary School and/or the Harwich Elementary School, but particularly Chatham Elementary, because it should, that was, I think, one of the goals
One of
of this program. And then also to, and we can ask that request once we've gone through a full year, I think, and then start tracking that in the future.
Okay, thanks.
All right, Kristen, please.
Just as a clarification from our discussion on this last time, there is no need that recipients need to prove. This is, anybody can apply for this regardless of their income or
That's correct.
eligibility.
Thank you. Andy?
I remember hearing some discussion at the select board about this program, and did they ultimately approve?
Yes, the select board approved this by a vote of 5 in favor, none opposed.
Okay, all right, thank you. That was, the material I have doesn't report that.
Okay, further comments or questions? If not, we'll take a motion to support $180,000 for the Dr. Florence Sheldon Preschool Family Support Program. Tommy Doan?
Yes.
Joanne?
Yes.
Andy?
Yep.
Kristen?
Yes.
Tracy?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. All right, consolidated revolving funds, of which we have 5.
Yes, thank you. Again, another annual article. Each year, the town must vote to approve the expenditure limit for each of the revolving funds. So we actually have 6 revolving funds. No, there's 6. We have segregated out the airport revolving fund for a separate vote. So this would be for the consolidated revolving fund article, which includes the Bassett House revolving fund for $8,000, inspectional services revolving fund for $150,000, recycling revolving fund for $5,000, Marconi Station revolving fund for $10,000, and the waterways user fee revolving fund, or the WOOF, at $1 million. The WOOF has increased by $500,000 based on some of the receipts and some of the projects that are expected to move forward. And the inspectional services revolving fund has also increased from $100,000 to $150,000 for FY 2024.
Thank you, Alex. I stand corrected on the number of revolving funds. Is there a motion to support the allocation of these 6 revolving funds?
This would be for the 5, and then we'll talk about the, sorry, the airport is a separate
I'm
article.
trying, okay. That's what I thought the document said. Okay, so we're going to first contemplate the first 5 that Alex just noted, and we'll deal with the airport revolving fund. Number 6 is a separate
So moved.
undertaking. Thank you. A second.
Second.
Comments or questions for Alex regarding Bassett House Inspectional Services, recycling, Marconi Station, and the waterways user fee revolving funds? If not, votes in favor, support, Tom?
Sorry,
Tracy,
Mr.
please.
Chair.
Yes.
Can you explain again the increase in the waterways?
The waterways user fee revolving fund is requesting $1 million, so that's up $500,000. And they're looking, for some of the projects that might move forward in the future. So we have, let's see, I think what's coming, 90 Bridge Street, the Fish Pier, and similar projects. So there's different projects. They haven't identified them yet. Any use of the WOOF revolving fund has to be approved by the harbor master and then the director of natural resources, as well as the town manager. And they also require it to go before the various waterways committees for their recommendation as well, if there is any recommendation. And then ultimately, the town manager will approve it, the requested amount, and it will come from this funding source.
Andy, please.
Does the increase in the limit for the revolving fund reflect an expected increase in the waterways user fee?
No, there's no expected increase in the waterways user fee. Right now, they have about $1.4 million as a fund balance.
Okay, thank you.
And Alex, can you clarify the funding sources for these raise?
The funding sources for the Bassett House would be the lease receipts we receive from the chamber. Inspectional services are for inspection permits. The recycling revolving fund from the sales of the recycling bins. The Marconi Station revolving fund, again, the lease receipts for the houses over there. And then the waterways user revolving fund comes from anything and everything waterways related except for boat excise, which goes to the waterways improvement fund. which is a separate fund.
So that's clear to everybody, I trust. The intent ultimately being that these things are essentially self-funding?
They're essentially self-funding, and it is a way to, allow, without getting a town meeting appropriation other than approving the expenditure authorization. So as needs arise, they can just take what they've received and then use it for a like purpose.
Okay. Motion to support?
Move it.
Second?
Thank you, Tracy. In support, Tommy?
Yes.
Joanne?
Yes,
Andy?
Yes.
Kristen?
Yes,
Tracy?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. 6-0, which takes us to the airport revolving fund.
Yes, several years ago, we segregated out the airport revolving fund from the consolidated revolving funds, especially when, during the pandemic, we were trying to have those consent calendar agenda items for town meeting to speed up town meetings. So knowing that there's usually discussion on airport-related items, we present it as a separate article. And the proposed spending limit for FY 2024 is $150,000, which is the same level as in FY 2023. And again, the T-hanger lease payments, as well as the leases that we receive, go into the airport revolving fund and then are expended for items, for the airport-related items.
Okay, that's helpful, thank you. Motion to support.
Move it.
Second. I'm hesitating because I wonder, Tracy, if you should recuse yourself, being a tenant at the field. I don't know enough about your commercial arrangements to know if that's,
I have a lease with a business that is located at the airport, but I have no direct financial tie to the airport commission.
And the town receives the lease payments from the fixed space operator, but not from Tracy's business.
okay. So I should suspect that should be fine. All right, so a motion?
Move it.
Second?
Second?
All right, thank you. Then in favor, Tommy?
Yes.
Joanne?
yes,
Andy?
Yes.
Kristen?
yes,
Tracy?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes, so 6-0 on the airport revolving fund, thank you. Inflation protection article.
Yes, this is
IPA,
a brand-new article.
a new article. Interesting.
Oh, boy.
The inflation protection article is being proposed since when we were looking at the capital fund, and the capital fund request came in for FY 2024, there were two items on there that were specifically additional requests due to inflationary items, so $35,000 for one and $10,000 for another. So this article is proposed at $100,000 for FY 2024, and what it would do is that would actually be protection in case some item within the capital budget, we've budgeted $50,000 and it comes in at 60, we have a funding source to get that, so it's not delayed. If we have a vehicle that comes in over what's budgeted, we have a way to fund that and not have to put that off for another year, because if we put it off for another year, oftentimes we increase our repair and maintenance costs. So we thought we'd start with $100,000. We'll see how it goes for FY 2024, see what inflation does. We don't know what it's going to do, but we think that this is based on the $35,000 that was requested this year. Hopefully that would cover anything. This is not meant to cover items that were not requested, and the town manager and the finance director sort of are the gatekeepers to ensure that it's used for the purpose for which it's intended.
Okay, clever idea, I think, at one level. Do we have a motion to support the inflation protection article at $100,000?
so moved.
All right, motion and a second. Comments or questions, please, Tracy, I think?
Seems like a very prudent idea.
Does Andy?
Where did the thank you. Where did the discussion on this go at the select board meeting?
The select board approved this by a vote of 5-0. Again, that was heard, I believe, the other night, and where's my notes? I can't find that. But yeah, again, they thought that this was, and we said that we think that it's a fiscally prudent idea to move forward with this. Any funds would carry forward to next year, and we'd look, again, if we don't utilize any, we probably wouldn't be asking for additional funding. If we do utilize it and we think that inflation protection is necessary, again, we might ask to replenish it to this $100,000 amount. So, brand new idea. Hopefully you don't have to use it, but it's there in case you do. It's sort of an insurance policy.
Kristen, please.
So any balance in this is going to carry over.
Yes.
Carry over in this fund or carry over to free cash?
No, it would carry over to be reserved, encumbered for this purpose.
Okay.
Unless we close it out for free cash. And the only reason why we would do that is if it's not utilized.
Okay, Kristen, please.
Is there a criteria or some kind of, like, what would be the threshold for, something beyond the scope of what town meeting approved for a capital expenditure? I mean, I understand, a small percentage of increase just due to time, the months that go on before, but your example of a vehicle, I mean, well, maybe the vehicle's not a good example, but, because I can't imagine that going up exponentially crazy, but is there a percentage?
I think we would look at, the inflation rate, but also, again, with a vehicle, if somebody said that they wanted to get, a regular pickup, two-wheel drive pickup trucks, which we'd never get, and then they go out and they want to, Ford F-350 Super Duty, I think that would be a no, because that was not what was contemplated in the original capital budget.
Thank you.
So I have a question that's sort of tangential to Kristen's, which is is there a criteria, I guess, or maybe that's what you just were asking about, how are these going to be evaluated? Are you anticipating that there's going to be 2 or 3 bites at the apple of $20,000 or $30,000 each? Are you anticipating 100 cats and dogs kind of swarming? What does this look like? I think it's a prudent idea, but I'm just not sure what it really looks like.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know what it looks like.
Custodial services for $500? Is it
I think, again,
F-350 for $30,000 or?
if someone goes out, and again, public procurement, you have to go out to bid on a certain threshold, or at least solicit 3 quotes, or go through this state combine system. And again, if you've done that, you've done your due diligence, and you get 3 quotes in, and they're all over what was appropriated, we can look at that and say, well, yeah, obviously you can't get it for the amount that you thought you were.
Yep.
So we could look at that. I think it's going to be, evaluating it as they come before us, and we'll probably have to come up with some protocol to look at that, or just some guidelines.
Do you have any, as you envision this, as Jill envisions, the town manager envisions this, do you have an expectation of what? Is it going to be a lot of $1,500, or is it going to be $325, do you think?
I have a feeling it will probably be items between, $10,000 and $25,000. I think oftentimes, people can find money within their repair and maintenance budget to add on to a capital request if needed, because the idea is that if you, replace a vehicle with something, you're going to lower your repair and maintenance costs. So, but again, if it's, I don't know. I'm just basing it on the 2 requests that we got. One was for $35,000 and one was for $10,000.
Okay. Tracy, please.
And Alex, are these requests will then be made by like the department heads to you, to Jill's office, or to you with like some sort of proposal, like this is the discrepancy that we need to make up
Yes.
and why?
Yeah, that's how we've proposed it, and that was in our memo to the select board, that, they'd have to come in with a proposal to the finance director, and then ultimately the town manager would approve it. So both approvals needed before the funds are released to the department head. And again, it's not for items that weren't on the capital plan, or for items that, didn't make the, that you just, oh, I need this. No, can't do that.
Joanne, please.
Mr. Chairman, I don't like this. It's taxpayers' money, $100,000 of it that we're talking about, and there's too many expressions of, we're not sure, maybe it'll be there if we need it, and so I'm going to vote against it.
Okay, thank you. Other comments, questions? If not, it's $100,000, is that right, Alex?
Correct.
Yeah, $100,000 for the inflation protection article. Tommy?
Yes.
Joanne?
No.
Andy?
Yes?
Kristen?
Yes.
Tracy?
Yes.
And I'll support. So that's 5-1, Alex.
Thank you.
And then water operating article, If I'm not mistaken, please.
Yes, the water budget, and just bear with me again. So I can pull that one up. Okay, so the water budget is, again, this was transmitted to the Finance Committee from the Select Board the other night, and is being presented at $3,913,572. And that's an increase of $56,997, or 1.47%, over the FY 2023 budget. Staffing levels remain the same, and I think there were contractual increases as we have contracted services for the water department, and the debt service is going down, so that's always good. So debt service, which is included in that, is $1,137,234, and again, for a total of $3,913,572, with $3,513,572 paid for by water rates and $400,000 from the tax rate.
Okay, motion to support the $3,913,572 embedded in the water operating budget.
Yes.
Thank you, Tommy. Second.
Second.
All right, questions for Alex in respect of the aforementioned budget? Okay, support. Tommy?
Yes.
Joanne?
Yes, yes.
Andy?
Yes.
Kristen?
Yes.
Tracy?
Yes.
Chair votes yes in support, so another 6-0. Then we're off to the water capital articles, please, Alex.
Yes, thank you. We have 2 water capital articles this year. The first one is sort of an annual article that is presented to town meeting every year, and this is for the replacement of water mains, and that's for $500,000, and that replaces the old unlined or undersized water mains. So as we're continuing with the wastewater project and we're ripping up roads, if there are water mains that are old and meet this, old and need to be replaced, we try to replace them at the same time as we're installing the sewer. So again, annual request for funding, we usually fund it anywhere from $500,000 to $750,000. We wanted to leave some money in the water surplus to carry forward, so that's why, and also looking at the amount that's still remaining in the older articles, so $500,000 is requested for FY 2024.
And the South Chatham Wells Iron and Manganese study?
Yeah, this is $50,000 for a study for iron and manganese at the South Chatham Wells numbers 1, 2, and 3. And again, they had a small level, high levels, just over the limit of iron and manganese when tested in February 2022. So the study would identify what's the best way to move forward, whether we would need, a treatment plant there, or again, just the most effective type of treatment for these South Chatham wells.
Okay, thank you. So motion to support $550,000 in water capital articles divided against water mains at $500,000 and an iron and manganese study for certain South Chatham wells at $50,000.
So moved.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Thank you. Comments or questions? Again, to me, this sort of falls into that wild card category that we've been discussing off and on for the last couple of years, insofar as what the cost of an iron and manganese treatment plant can be if it turns out that we need to treat these particular wells. We saw what happened on Morton Road. That was a not insignificant project.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, support for the spend. Tommy?
Yes.
Joanne?
Yes,
Andy?
Yes.
Kristen?
Yes.
Tracy?
Yes.
Chair votes in favor, 6-0. Alex almost ran the table. And I think that's it for our votes as of right now. Insofar as other things, I have, sorry, giant cord wrapped on my foot. So the aforementioned warrant closes at a vote of the Select Board on the 14th of March, which means that we have to have our report of the Finance Committee to the warrant submitted almost immediately thereafter. So we've got about 2 weeks to pull this thing together. is sort of the guy who holds the pen on this thing. I think over the past 3 or 4 years, whatever the timeframe has been, there's been a kind of a form circulated that probably is relatively familiar to members of the committee, less so to the new members of the committee. I'll be certain to circulate last year's report to everyone. But essentially, we provide a bit of an overview of our thinking about the year. We recall items of concern from the prior year and kind of see what's happened to those. We then kind of do a deeper dive into the budget and all of its various components, sort of the big heavy number section, tax rates, graphs, all that kind of stuff. And then we typically end with kind of items of concern. I don't anticipate changing that format. What would be, and so there's a lot of it is somewhat academic, just in terms of grinding through the center part of the report and just populating numbers and trends and growth rates and whatnot. But what is especially useful in this process, the person ultimately holding the pen, is feedback from the committee on how we did against items that we highlighted last year, and what are the things we want to shout out this year to the select board, to the taxpayers, and highlight in the warrant. So one of the guidelines I have used historically for that is our initial report to the select board on the budget, where we called out things last week, 2 weeks ago, I guess a week and a half ago. So that can serve as kind of a platform off of which to step, but if there's other things that we want to bring to the attention of the taxpayer, I would really ask you guys to focus on it, and we can spend a minute talking about it now, but since it's not expressly agended, I don't want to get too deep in it, but if you guys can spend some time thinking about what some of those things might be, send me a note, pull me out of my car someday if you see me. We can talk about it. We're going to agenda it for next week's 2 meetings. I've got to be in Boston next Thursday. So Joanne's going to have the helm on Thursday. But that's sort of critical path from here to the 14th, is to get input from the committee on how we did against the things we called out for last year and what do we want to call out this year going forward. Questions, Tracy?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, and the audience for this being the taxpayer, as opposed to folks that are knee-deep in all of this. This is, us, our communicating directly with the citizens.
That's correct. This is the first 10 or 12 pages. I think the report's about a dozen pages now, and it's the first, after several introductory pages, it's the letter to the taxpayers of the town of Chatham. So, okay, comments, questions, ideas for other things we want to look after? Again, we're going to try to get the school board in next week, both Monomoy and Regional Tech. On Tuesday, if that can happen Tuesday, then I would, strongly encourage that we try to get it in for Thursday. Probably other votes that we need to keep continuing to kind of sweep through next week, Alex, based on work we've already completed.
Yeah, I'm looking at the scorecard right now. So we do have the prior year bills. We have the school budgets, the expendable trust for retirement, which I think that's a separate article, the capital authorization,
And then the capital projects, whether built filter press, and did the select board, I didn't look at the meeting from Tuesday, did they take action on their various votes?
Yes, they did. So I'd like to see if I could get those in possibly sooner rather than later. So water capital, construction of the permanent treatment facility at Training Field Wells, numbers 5 and 8. 19,800,000. That would be a borrowing article. And we're working on that to, again.
And the select board approved it?
The select board approved that, yes.
Speaking of large things we did not see coming down the road 18 months ago.
Yeah, so that is on there. So, and again, that would be a borrowing article, and I'll be working through, it is eligible for the 2% loans through the Clean Water Trust.
Great.
As well as we did receive a notification on possible mitigation due to PFAS.
Mitigation or litigation?
Mitigation funds, so no. We're hoping to, and I did have that here, so that was, the Biden-Harris administration announces $2.4 billion for clean water infrastructure upgrades And again, this could be used to address PFAS. And so that might be helpful.
Is that a national funding, 2.4?
Yeah, that's national. So, we'd look to apply for any and all grants to offset some of this cost. But again, it is up to 5 million is guaranteed at 2% loans and possibly 0% because there's talk of funding some of these for the PFAS mitigation at 0% loans. So that would really help us out.
And did the select board take action on the belt filter press at, what, 5.8 million?
Yes, filter press was approved for a town meeting warrant at $5,800,000. That also is on the Clean Water Trust's intended use plan for 0% interest loans. That has the $5 million in 0%. 800,000 would be probably at 4.5% right now.
More of a market rate?
And/or we could see if there's, and that's also eligible for some loan forgiveness through the Cape Cod and Islands Water Protection Fund. So that's good to know. And so it was that action, as well as the transfer station project, the upgrades to this transfer station. That was, as you might recall, started a couple of years ago, but sort of languished with COVID. So now we're looking for $4,820,000, which would cover both Phase 1 and Phase 2. The Select Board, everyone wanted to move forward with Phase 2, which is the building where, transfer station workers.
Locker rooms, break room, heads?
Don't have any room right now, but that's where they would have some room. So it would be that is Phase 2, and then Phase 1 is the drop-off area and the flow. I think there's still more work and discussion to be done on Phase 1, but by approving it all, you don't have to expend it all in 1 year or do both phases in 1 year. We'd look to, and I'm working on that right now, looking at debt drop-off and when we can program all these, if they were all to pass, program everything in not to negatively impact the tax rate and the taxpayer. As we've noted before, we're trying to keep our debt service as level as possible moving forward where it's at right now and not increase it.
And hence our bond rating as well. And I think just for the record, Phase 1, which may be inappropriately numbered, but Phase 1 was the separation of the commercial activity from the residential activity into kind of two different.
There was actually
Parts,
three
right.
phases, so.
Right, but,
Phase 1 is, the flow of the traffic.
right.
Phase 2 was the employee and the building upgrades, and then Phase 3, I think, was more of the commercial drop-off area.
And they've elected not at this point to move forward with Phase 3.
Yeah, it's not right now. I think Phase 1 and Phase 2 are fairly well in the design stages, so we have better numbers on those to move forward.
Okay.
And the Select Board did hear all this at their meeting on February 9th.
Correct.
The special meeting, so if you wanted to go back and review those, presentations by the consultants were given.
Did they take action on the salt shed?
They decided to defer the salt shed for a year.
Okay, so we don't have to take a vote on that. Good. All right,
Mr. Chair,
Joanne, please.
these are the warrant articles we're going to be taking up.
Yes.
Did you say when we're going to be starting on those?
The chair and I will decide on that. I'll have to see when the school can come in. I think it would be beneficial to have as many members of the committee in attendance as possible when you discuss those articles. Plus, I'm still working on, the financial impact when we can program those in. So that might take me a little bit of time, but I'm hopeful to get it to you sooner rather than later.
Okay.
It's important that you have this consideration before you give your report to the voters in the warrant.
100%.
So a Tuesday is School committee.
Ideally Tuesday schools,
schools, okay.
and probably a couple of votes.
Yeah, I haven't,
Short notice for the schools, though, so since Alex and I just discussed this morning.
yeah.
So the schools may have to be pushed later in the week or the following week.
All right. Okay, thank you.
But we'll continue to work on the agenda and we'll circulate it when we get it nailed down. All right? Further comments, questions? If not, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second? I'll give Tommy the second on that one.
Yeah.
Tommy, are you in favor of adjourning?
Yes, I am.
He is indeed.
That's an abstain. Joanne?
Yes.
Finger, Tommy. Andy?
Yes.
Kristen?
Yes.
Tracy? I'm in favor. So I guess that's technically 5-0 to 1. All right, thank you, everybody. Appreciate it as ever. Thank you, Alex.
Thank you.
Thank you.